المجلة.
أسبوع جديد ولقاء جديد مع المجلة والنشاطات الفنية والثقافية. أبرز صفحات عدد اليوم: لقاء مع الفنان ستيفان سعيد، الأريال آرتس نوع جديد من اللياقة البدنية، نبدأ حلقتنا مع المغني والناشط السياسي العراقي الأصل ستيفان سعيد. ستيفان من أوائل الفنانين اللي استخدموا الموسيقى بهدف التغيير وكسر القيود الاجتماعية والسياسية، فحملت أغانيه رسالة حوار بين الأديان، رسالة سلام وعدالة اجتماعية. فشل السياسات العالمية بتحقيق الحريات جعل ستيفان يوجه فنه من خلال الإنترنت اللي أضحى وسيلة التعبير لدى الشعوب الطامحة بالحرية، فنقل الصورة الحقيقية عبر شبكات التواصل الاجتماعي ما بتكذب. أبرز أغاني دبال أي الجرس عام 2003 ضد الحرب بالعراق اللي كتبها تعبيراً لرفضه للسياسات اللي اتخذتها الإدارة الأمريكية بذلك الوقت. ومن أغاني البارزة أيضاً أحب أعيش بحرية من كلمات الشاعر أحمد ريمي واللي غناها عبد الوهاب عام 1930. أعاد ستيفان توزيعها بهدف تشجيع الديمقراطية السلمية بالعالم العربي.
All of my songs are still driven by a very, very deep love for all people. And so they speak about crossing borders, about generally unity, love, and humanity.
Chante un petit coup pour la liberté, pour la beauté de l'humanité, pour nous unifier, pour nous rassembler dans la diversité, complémentarité.
And my music likewise crosses borders. I intentionally use pop and rock and hip hop and world folk musics, and it could be Iraqi maqam and Bulgarian folk music and classical music, all thrown literally together or in one show, so as to create a music that crosses borders and can bring a whole world of people together in the same audience, because that's what we need. We need people from different parts of our society to come together, right? If we really want peace.
Il faut chanter pour notre famille dans les boîtes, les mosquées, les églises, à Tokyo, au Brésil, à Paris, les financiers, les anarchistes, de Karachi à Nairobi, les petites danses sous la pluie, à Montmartre et en Mongolie.
Stefan, we're very happy to be here. Thank you for having us here. How did your passion for music start?
I'm the youngest of 4 children, and I started playing music before I can remember, and studying classical violin when I was 4.5, 5 years old. I played throughout my whole youth and kept playing piano, played violin. Then I went to Europe to both tour and to work as a migrant worker. I went to learn languages, but also to learn all kinds of folk styles from around. So that's kind of like my development.
Every time I think of you, how runs my body through, surges through me night and day, from my head down to my shoes.
What brought you to New York? And how important is your heritage for you?
Massive. I didn't understand how much it did because it's, I think for all of us, your identity is something it takes your lifetime to grasp. But I remember when just before the last Gulf War, which is still ongoing, started, I had a song called The Bell that was the first major anti-war hit.
Said the man at his desk.
It was totally personal also. It wasn't just a global consciousness. I realized then, it was like, this isn't about one person being bad or wrong. This is about needing to wake the whole world up to what's happening to humanity and that we have to have a massive change in order to actually create peace. I guess that was very personal for me because my family was there, you know, being bombed. But that's what brought me to New York. It was a year and a half after that, really, 94, 95, when I felt like I have to sing out, I have to speak out, I have to put a message of peace and equality and unity out there.
Oh, I'm sounding drums of war, said the man at his desk. Oh, I will not fight your war, said the child, and he stood, and he stood, and he stood, and 'twere well that he stood. Oh, I will not fight your war, said the child, and he stood.
But I know that my relationship with labels has always been a strained thing because I've always wanted to use all kinds of music at the same time. Also because of my identity, it's the reason I'm bringing it up.
Even in times where you felt like you were being fought or blacklisted, you wouldn't give up, you know, you just like stood tall and fought for it.
When The Bell came out and it was spread all over the world virally through the internet, I was pretty much shut down. I was on all these like lists in America, and even progressive artists, managers, they couldn't take the risk of having an Iraqi American, if you can imagine. And I don't blame them. I mean, I understand. From a business perspective, they're not going to touch anything that could risk their sales. You know, that was a big effect. But now we're in a completely different time. All that's...
What has changed? What do you feel has changed?
I just think that the majority of the world has caught up with the notion that we all have to live equally, and that there's a need for a shift, and that they realize that that's only going to happen by being inclusive and by hearing the voices that we need most to hear, right? Not by shutting them out. There's an understanding that we need culture from the Middle East to infiltrate the mainstream around the world in order to create understanding, to humanize the face of the Middle East.
الاريال ارتس فن اتخذ جذوره من الاداء البهلواني، نتعرف عليه بعد الفاصل، خليكم معنا.
المجلة.
أسس ستيفان سعيد منظمة ديفرنت أي مختلف، واللي بتشكل من خلال الموسيقى والثقافة منبر عالمي من أجل المساواة، السلام، المحافظة على البيئة والتغيير الاجتماعي. تستخدم مؤسسة ديفرنت شبكة الإنترنت والتكنولوجيا الحديثة للتواصل بين الفنانين والمنظمات اللي بيشاركوه نفس المعتقدات من خلال أعمالهم الفنية. How strong do you think is music and building bridges and transcending barriers?
Right now, I think that music and the arts are perhaps the most effective and almost most needed, and maybe the only way that massive systemic change can be started. But I realize that throughout history, there have always been moments when political stagnation occurs, when the next step that society needs to make cannot be started through the political system, and it has to happen by people, and only does happen by artists first getting some new level of consciousness out there through something that doesn't offend anybody. How powerful do I think music is? I think it's as powerful as we make it, and I think that it could be and needs to be right now at the forefront of helping humanity make major change. We need to take a stand, and it's only going to happen by doing that. And taking a stand with Christians and Jews and Muslims and anarchists and socialists and right-wing Republicans, everybody together that are ready to put down all the divisiveness and go, hey, we need to come together. What's happening to the whole human race and the planet is way more important than local politics that are, you know, that are greed-based or whatever they are, you know? And that's why I started this organization, Different.org, this year with the Millennium Development Goals and the International Day of Peace at the United Nations, and that was to elevate voices of youth that are taking a stand.
This one's going out to my brothers in the hood, cause I always knew you would. This one's going out to my family in Iraq, holding out hope while the big bombs drop.
And what Different does is, it's an organization, we have a bunch of people now working with us from around the world, but it's a one-stop for music and culture for social change, because we realize that it's becoming more mainstream. The idea that we need to take a stand to change our world. What we need is a place where people could go, oh, they're going to find out about all kinds of artists and all kinds of organizations like this all the time. Then we could build a movement. That's how it's been done in every major social movement in history. It's like they started to just elevate the voices of peace, of that next world that they wanted to create. That's the aim. That's the aim of Different, is to elevate the voices to make that happen. So that's one of the main ways that Different works. And the other way is by partnering with all these organizations and artists, is to go all around the world working with youth, engaging them and getting them to write their own songs and make their own videos for peace and interfaith unity. And so maybe you start seeing, like beginning with the International Day of Peace in September, a number of events, hopefully in Beirut and maybe in Baghdad, in Washington, in New York City, in San Francisco, in Paris, and in Berlin, where, you know, happening one after the other, but on a constant basis of events where youth or young voices, upcoming voices, that are using their work to do that. So it starts to get bigger and bigger, and people go, oh my God, there's a movement of people all around the world saying, hey, we can do this.
What would be your message to our viewers in the Middle East?
Just love. I feel like we're a voice that needs to be heard the most, or you are, and together we are, and by elevating the most beautiful message in us, that's how we can help lead the world to where it needs to go.
أهلا بكم من جديد ومنتابع تصفح المجلة مع الأريال استاركس. اتخذ الفن جذوره من الأداء البهلواني بالسيرك بيرتكز على استخدام أقمشة حرير متدلية من أماكن مرتفعة للقيام بحركات بهلوانية تعتمد على الفن التشكيلي والجمباز والقوة البدنية من دون حزام أمان أو شبكة حامية من السقوط.
Every one of us, I think, has their own kind of talent, and you have to really look in life as to find that one thing that you do well, that works well with your personality, your skills, and your motivation. Aerial fabric is an art that has a lot of elements to it. It is motion art, or, I mean, it's very akin to dance, speaking in motion rather than voice or words. You're creating a moving visual. I guess I would describe it as moving sculpture. It's a very new sport. There's no real right or wrong way to do it. And so everyone that is in it is contributing something. And I really like that part of it. It just really has improved my life in terms of how much I was able to expand my horizons after finding this. And also to give that inspiration to people coming up. So when I describe to people what I do, I will first probably say I'm an acrobat, or I'm an aerial dancer, I'm an aerialist. Aerialist, it keeps you fit, it's something you're constantly challenging yourself with. It just really has improved my life in terms of how much I was able to expand my horizons after finding this. And, and also to give that inspiration to people coming up, younger kids, women, that this is something you can find even if you hadn't had the background. And if you train hard enough, you can really do something special. It just is very attractive when you see it, and there are lots of things you can do with it. It has an aerial dance component, it has a gymnastic acrobatic component. There are stunts, there are fabulous stunts, it can be very dramatic, and on the fabric it becomes a three-dimensional look. Has a applicability, I think, to lots of different types of people. So my student base has grown and continues to grow as people find it. So I started with women, in their 20s and 30s generally, children, and then there are dancers, specifically entertainers, and there are some males as well. I mean, men will be able to do certain things on the fabric that women cannot. We're all starting off at a level where, every step is progress, and you have to consider that and take it slowly. And it's amazing what people can do if they keep at it, rather than like the first time you come, if you can't climb the fabric, not to be discouraged and not to just assume that, oh, well, you're too weak. No. You're gonna hold that side leg, take your knee out, sit on your right hand. It first requires you to learn the skills and the technical aspects of it, being able to do the moves and to have a good repertoire of tricks. But then this whole other element of artistry and thought that needs to go into developing something that has a theme, a shape, an emotion, a continuity that makes sense and gives the performer a voice that says something. You're lifting your body weight on this fabric over and over and over. I have women who couldn't climb the fabric at all, and after maybe 6 classes, they're up at the top, at the ceiling. And then that speaks to your confidence, and it helps increase your confidence in everything that you do. You have the guts to try it, and then you have the stick-to-itiveness to stay with it. That really changes your life, I think. A really excellent silks performance, in my opinion, looks very effortless, but also defies gravity at the same time, so the performer looks suspended and can travel very quickly, up and down and sideways and over here and changing all these directions, very three-dimensional. And creates in the air what you would expect from a dancer on the floor. In my act, I'm thinking about dancing with the fabric. The fabric is my partner. And I'm bringing it in close, and I'm moving it around me, and then pushing away from it, but coming back. And I like to try to create illusions from movement to movement, something that is unexpected. That's the challenge. And, you know, as females, we're encouraged to stay at home a lot, but we need to be out and finding things that we can do specifically that will keep us strong and keep us motivating ourselves physically and emotionally and mentally. This is a sport that challenges you just as much in your head as it does in your body. You have to overcome your fear, you have to concentrate, you have to be willing to work, and you have to want to practice and want to get better, and you have to keep yourself thinking positive.
مشاهدينا الوقت المخصص للبرنامج انتهى. بنهاية حلقة اليوم بشكر فريق العمل باستديوهات الحرة واشنطن دي سي وبالأخص بلير جاد. لمعلومات أكثر عن البرنامج وفريق العمل تابعونا على جروب المجلة على الفيسبوك. أنا بانتظار تعليقاتكم ومقترحاتكم، وبإمكانكم أيضا مراسلتي على إيميل البرنامج المجلة@الحرة.com. أنا بلاقيكم الأسبوع القادم وأكيد رح تكونوا على الموعد.
المجلة.